And just a reminder to people, this will be recorded, and this recording will be sent out uh, potentially sometime tomorrow, if not on Monday. So just keep an eye out for that recording. Attached to that is a questionnaire. We just ask that you fill out the questionnaire. We value your feedback, and we want to make sure that you're being heard as far as different things that you might be looking for. So feel free to fill that out for us. Like I said, that'll be attached in the recording. The chat is open, so if you do have questions, feel free to post those in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat, and then we will have a designated Q&A at the end of the session. So if you do want to hold off on questions until the end, just know we will have that Q&A. And if you want to take yourself off mute and ask any questions, you can certainly do that at the end. But if not, if you don't want to take yourself off mute, feel free to post those questions into the chat. And then what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to pass it over to Carla. Carla, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, RJ. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for offering this opportunity and this platform to just share some general information about our school district. I am Carla Chambers Standback, and I'm a recruiter with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. And this information session is designed to give you some information about our schools and our district, as well as also offer some interview tips for those of you who are interested in opportunities in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. So with that, I will begin the presentation. Again, my name is Carla Chambers Standback, and I am a recruiter with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. And this slide just shares the team that I'm a part of, and this includes myself as well as Christine with alternative licensure, and Nautica, who is a newest recruiter on our team, and she's going to be working with the student teacher program and also recruiting for elementary ed teachers. Also with us is Kennedy Barclay, who recruits for secondary all subjects, and then Kristen Hoyt is a program manager for our teacher cadet program, as well as Jason Rettinger, who is a recruiter also for alternative licensure. So that's basically the meat of our team. And here represents our what matters most to us, and basically why we exist and do what we do. And basically, we believe that students matter most in our community, and that they deserve the best education possible to fulfill their highest potential. And also, we believe that to break the link between poverty, race, and academic performance, equality of high expectations must be met by equitable allocation of talented educators, leaders, resources, and supports. And then finally, of course, we believe that our schools alone cannot give students what they deserve and need, can't alone give the students what they deserve and need to succeed. So as partners, mentors, stakeholders, and community members, we are all empowered to work together for work for our students. Just a little snapshot about Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. We're about the 19th largest school district in the country currently. We have 140,000 students in 184 schools, and that is pretty large. We're the second largest in North Carolina, and we've divided our schools into 9 smaller learning communities to help give us more of a small district feel. What you may not know about CMS is that we are a very diverse school district. There are over 209 native languages spoken in our student body, along with 175 countries represented. About 45% of our schools receive Title I funds, and Title I is a federal grant that is given to schools that have a high student population of students who are enrolled in a free or reduced lunch program. About 34% of our schools have magnet programs, which is an emphasis or focus on a particular content area. And so the magnet schools, we have about 11 different focus areas. This is just a sampling of some of those areas, which include STEAM and STEM academies, STEAM representing science, technology, engineering, and math. And then STEAM incorporates the arts into those other 4 areas. We have language immersion, international baccalaureate, which is for students with who are interested in pursuing or have like a high academic grade point average. Also, we have career and technical education, as well as early and middle colleges and cultural arts. Some of the early and middle colleges include areas like we have a an early teacher college. So those students who are interested in pursuing a profession in teaching. So we have a variety of different academic settings in addition to your traditional settings or school settings. Some of our benefits include medical, of course, the standard medical, dental, and vision insurance. We also are state employees, and so that means that we are part of the state retirement fund, and that state retirement fund is one of the strongest in the country. And some of you may be very young and on this line that may not be thinking about retirement, but um, your state retirement fund, it does incorporate some very important pieces in as you go down the road in your career. The current starting salary for a teacher in Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools is 46,301 and 72 cents. I should have put that 72 cents on there, but it's per year. And we pay one of the highest supplements in the state of North Carolina. I think we do pay the highest supplement currently in the state of North Carolina. So when you look at our state average, the state pays a base portion, and then yes, that is for bachelor's degrees. And so you can see our complete salary schedule on our website. So that is the current starting salary with a bachelor's degree for teachers. As a teacher, as a new teacher, you would be enrolled in a beginning teacher support program, which would be for 3 years. You would be assigned a mentor teacher for the first 3 years of your career. And also in those 3 years, you would incorporate, or we would incorporate professional development to address areas like classroom management, as well as planning and also driving instruction and time management. There are some self-care pieces incorporated in there as well, which I think is fantastic because we want to look at the whole teacher and not just the skill-based pieces of your career. Also incorporated into that is additional professional development beyond those 3 years that's available for a variety of areas, including if you're interested in pursuing a national board certification later on in your teaching career. We have support systems for that as well. So I'm not sure if everybody is into education on this line, so I wanted to share a few pieces about those individuals who may not necessarily be pursuing or have a teaching degree. We do have options available for you. And so these various paths of licensure I'm going to discuss over these next couple of slides. So you should know that almost half of our new teachers have completed a teacher education program, but there are options for those who do not have a degree in education. So we've developed an alternative pathway in the state of North Carolina called the residency license, and it allows qualified individuals to obtain that teaching position and begin teaching right away while obtaining a professional educator's license and clearing the licensure requirements as you teach. So with a bachelor's degree, you can look at a couple of different alternative license options, and it just depends on which one you may qualify for. And it also depends on the timing of when you enter employment with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. So, of course, if you don't have a bachelor's degree, we do have some suggestions from our talent acquisition team where you can receive information on different options. Of course, everyone on this line is either enrolled in or has completed a program at WGU, so you don't necessarily need that information. So the individuals with a bachelor's degree, there are 3 alternative license options to begin teaching. That includes a permit to teach, an emergency license, or a residency license. So these are the 3 different types of alternative licenses. And the permit to teach is basically for eligible to teach in any licensed area. And so it is good for 1 year, and it would end at the first year of teaching, and by that time, you would be expected to have completed or meet the minimum requirements to convert that license into a residency license and enrolled in an educator prep program or an EPP. And I'll cover this very quickly, but if you do have questions, there are some email addresses there in the on the slide on the bottom left-hand side of the slide, or you can certainly reach out to me and I'll certainly include my contact information as well. But the three different types of alternative license options are the permit to teach, the emergency license, which requires at least 18 hours of coursework, or the residency license, which requires at least 24 hours of relevant coursework. And when I say relevant, being relevant to the content area that you wish to teach or that you're teaching. So there's different stipulations for each type of license, and it just depends on which criteria you meet at that particular point in time of employment as a teacher. We have a alternative license program in CMS called the CMS Teaching Residency. There are a variety of different alternative license programs throughout the state, a variety of EPPs. Of course, Western Governors University is an accredited and approved educator prep program as well. So let's move on from there and just talk about some interviewing tips that we like to share with prospective candidates. First of all, I mentioned earlier how large our school district is. We're made up of 184 schools. And so therefore, our first point is to, or suggestion is to do some research about the school. You can find a wealth of information on the CMS website in terms of our strategic plan. Each school has its own website. Many of them also are active on social media. So just being able to do a little bit of research about the school. And our school principals offer the option of either the in-person, some require in-person interviews, some are willing to do virtual interviews as well if you're out of state or out of town. Either way, we just suggest that you arrive early. If you're doing a virtual interview, just be sure that you have a good internet connection, whether that be on a smartphone, tablet, or laptop. And we also suggest maybe practicing some mock interviews with a friend or colleague. Also, with that, share your favorite lesson or sample lesson if you are asked to do so during the course of the interview. Or if you are an alternative candidate and maybe don't have a teaching background, maybe suggest or offer a lesson that you would like to teach. In your interview, we just ask that you be flexible and enjoy your interaction with administrators, and just be ready to discuss your career interests as well as your skills and strengths. Also be ready for some follow-up questions, or maybe they may inquire or ask for more clarification or more information. Feel free to jot notes during the interview if the questions are not provided to you, so that you can be ready with maybe some follow-up questions or additional feedback if necessary. One thing that we always suggest for a prospective candidate is that you prepare at least 1 to 2 follow-up questions for your interviewer. Also speak clearly and provide relevant examples, and that could be in education or outside of education. Each question, you should have about a 2 to 5 minute response with regard to the response to the question. A lot of our administrators offer a behavior type interview question, and I'm going to give you some sample questions in just a moment. But do pay attention to the question and the content of the question and try to answer all aspects of the question. Present yourself in a professional demeanor as well as in terms of language as well as dress. Of course, your nonverbals are very important in terms of making eye contact and smiling. And of course, dress to impress, which goes without saying, but we always like to make sure that you understand that professional dress is expected, or at least business casual. So here are some interview questions that may be helpful in terms of you're describing your experience. And again, this could be in or out of education. Some of them are education related, but also there are some that maybe you might want to offer in terms of giving an example of a time someone gave you constructive feedback. That could be an in or out of education type question. Also, if you do have some education background, maybe some work with a student, whether it be in a daycare setting or maybe even in a camp or summer camp or something of that nature. But these are just some interview questions that we offer as suggestions on the types of interview questions that may be offered to you. So just keep those types of questions in mind that they're asking you to describe or tell me about a time or tell me how you would respond or maybe describe a time when. So it's really reflective type questions that that our hiring managers like to offer in terms of good interview questions. Again, answering questions, just think about your experiences in terms of being in or out of education. And again, if you're alternative licensed, that's okay because we want you to be able to just reflect on your work experience or your college experience and your interactions with customers and colleagues. Also, be prepared to connect those experiences because, as you know, and as we know, a lot of your experiences in your work life, if it was not if it was not education related, a lot of those skills are transferable. And so, just be sure, be prepared to connect those experiences and how you would connect those in a classroom. Do some research if you're not if you're looking for an alternative license pathway into education. Just do some research about education and focus on those building relationship type questions, how you integrate or analyze data, as well as how you would manage a classroom. One other suggestion that we offer in terms of getting into a career in education would be to volunteer in a classroom or even become a substitute teacher. I am going to offer our website where you can apply for becoming a substitute teacher if that would be of interest to you, just to get your feet wet and get your foot in the door. Finally, as far as interview tips, we suggest that you again take notes and list action items for you to follow up on. And also, we suggest that you ask that interviewer for an email where you can send them a quick thank you note, or even a handwritten note is also suggested if you're if you're comfortable with that. So always follow up with a thank you, either way, either virtual or on paper. Follow up with a thank you email to that administrator. And don't let this picture put you off, but I just thought it was hilarious. But some qualities of an effective educator. One of our principals told me 4 bullet points in terms of being an effective educator. The initiative, those individuals who are willing to take initiative both in and out of the classroom in terms of working through problem solving details, working through different circumstances that you may be confronted with, and also perseverance. And I don't have to tell you that the teaching profession has its challenges, and so we're looking for those individuals who are ready to persevere through those challenges and help build a very strong career in education. And then finally, a relationship builder, and those individuals that are are good at working with students as well as with your peers and management or supervisors in terms of building effective relationships in and out of the classroom for your teaching career. So I think that might be just about it. So I'm going to offer our website, and this is how you would apply for positions in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. Our website is jobsinsidecms.com, and I will also put my email address in the chat. And that alternative license pathway job posting for the alternative license teacher candidates is open right now, and it is open until March. And so if you are interested in that, I will also include that's also on that CMS website, that Jobs Inside CMS website. So RJ, I think that's about all that I have for my slides today. But
Awesome.
if there are any questions in the chat, I'll stop sharing right now.
I'll let people go ahead and post those, or if you want to take yourselves off mute, feel free to ask any questions. I'll start off, and one thing we usually wonder with school districts, what are some things that individuals can do as they're, looking for jobs they might be applying, landing interviews? What are some things that could really have them stand out, whether it's on their resume, or maybe it's during the interview process? I know you had mentioned, specific questions that you should be asking during the interview, but is there anything in particular that, you found that has really stood out when people go through that process?
One of the things that I would suggest is with regard to, especially with the resume, is to be sure that you highlight your strengths or build on your strengths. And that would be in the form of in addition to building on your strengths, also showing where you've had leadership opportunities. If you were the president or you held an office in a club or organization, be sure that you highlight those strengths and be reflective of those experiences where you maybe led an organization or a team. Be reflective in terms of what types of things you may have learned in those organizations and in those experiences. So that would be my first tip in terms of how you lay out your resume. And then also, I would suggest we're looking for individuals who are passionate about being an educator, passionate about working with children, and passionate about teaching as well. So discover your or decide on what your why might be in terms of becoming an educator. Maybe you're a first generation college graduate, or maybe you were impressed, or a teacher impacted you positively. I actually sat in on an interview where a student just yesterday, she talked about how she had grown up in a very difficult and very challenging circumstances, experiencing homelessness and things like that. But she talked about also how she turned that experience into a positive, and is basically is now one of the top recruited candidates for her university. So just how you use those life experiences, even not necessarily in work life, but in those life experiences, how you reflect on that and how you turn that into a positive, so to speak. And so that indicates perseverance for us. And so those types of experiences, just being able to be reflective and being able to articulate that type of experience in a way that you turned it into a positive. So I always tell candidates that we're looking for one of two things. Either you're able to bring something to the table that's new, that would enhance whatever's going on that school's campus or in that school building, or number two, you have a skill set that would bless or be able to be a benefit to the school's programs, or a certain school program that's going on. So either one of those two things, and that's what we would really be looking for in effective candidates.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that answered your question. Did I?
Yes, that was spot on. That was fantastic.
Okay. Okay,
All right.
so let's see. I've got a question here in the chat. Okay, it just disappeared. Where'd it go?
I can read it off if need be.
Yeah.
What pathway would I look into with a Master of Arts in Educational Studies, elementary education? Also, how do I build a resume after being a stay-at-home wife and mom for the last 16 years?
All right, great question on both fronts. And so what I would suggest is terms of, I'm assuming that that master's degree did not lead to licensure. Is that correct? I'm assuming so. So with that, you could look at alternative licensure for elementary education. And so with that, you could apply for that alternative license job posting. And okay, I'm in the program, but studying for exams. Okay, all right. So so yes, you could apply for that alternative license job posting at this point in time, and you could look at job opportunities even right now for an elementary teacher position. In terms of the resume, I would suggest that if they're in your 16 years of raising your children, were there organizations that you were involved in, like the school PTA, or maybe civic organizations like junior league, or something maybe in a church or something of that nature. If there was any type of activity that you did volunteer or paid, I would suggest reflecting on those experiences and be sharing those on your resume in terms of what you did in those organizations. So, if you were a soccer mom, okay, maybe ombudsman. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, and you've been homeschooling. Okay, excellent, excellent. So you can include those experiences or share those on your resume and be reflective of those experiences in terms of what you what you what you learned from them, and also what types of skills maybe you developed or used in those experiences. Great question. You're welcome. See if there are any other questions. Jada's been quiet. I think but she's listening.
We'll give people another minute. And a reminder, if you want to come off mute, you certainly can, but you don't have to. You can post questions into the chat.
Mm. Oh, thank you. I appreciate your time as well, Alicia. What are some of the challenges facing our school district this year? That's an excellent question, Jada. Well, one of the things is, as you know, as we all are still coming off of COVID. And so we've had some challenges with regard to our student learning and student development in terms of helping. Well, we had an achievement gap issue pre-COVID, and it unfortunately probably worsened during COVID. So we are working with our teaching staff to help to close that achievement gap and maybe make some headway. And we have made some headway. Our test scores reflected that this past year in terms of coming back in person and now transitioning from working in a virtual environment, which was extremely challenging, and coming back into a in-person environment and helping our students to catch up basically in their schoolwork and making sure that they are performing at or above grade level. So that's been the challenge, and the way we've addressed that challenge is we have what we call the teacher leader pathway, where experienced teachers can apply for this program and act as mentors. They're still working as classroom teachers, but they're also outside of the classroom working as mentors to help teachers develop skills or mentor teachers in their classroom experiences, and maybe offering some teaching strategies to help students improve. So that's been one of the biggest challenges that we've worked with and had to face. Does CMS have a virtual school option available? So we do have a virtual school that is still in existence, and I believe right now there's only one, and that school is has about maybe four or five teachers, if I recall correctly. But yes, to answer your question, we do have that virtual school option. I believe that school is, I'm not sure if it's K through 12, it might be a high school, but yes, we do.
Any other questions for Carla?
Oh, how active is the community in the school system? Oh, good question, Alicia. So, very active actually. The Charlotte community, we have actually about 40,000 or so volunteers each year from the Charlotte community. And we are very active with Charlotte business leaders from, Charlotte, of course, is a big banking hub. But from the banks to the arts community, as well as the, let's see, what else? Where else? The energy company, Duke Energy, they are very active with especially with our STEM and STEAM academies. So we have also some reading programs where individuals, volunteers from the banks will come and read to our elementary school students. So and also offer volunteer tutors as well in a variety of areas. So we do actually enjoy a very strong relationship with the Charlotte community. Okay, so current curriculum. So if you go to the CMS website, and I hope I'm telling you the right direction, giving you the right direction, but there should be a link for parents, and that will show you what curriculum we are currently using in the district. If you can't find it there, go to departments, and then there should be a department for curriculum and instruction, and that will probably offer you that, or you can have, they'll have contact information there as well. How does CMS district stand out from other districts in the state? Great question. One of the things that I think that makes us stand out is the diversity of our students and also the diversity of school settings that we offer. We have been recognized by, several of our schools have been recognized by the Magnet Schools of America for their outstanding performance. And then also, we have been recognized, our beginning teacher support program has been recognized as well for what we have to offer in terms of the support that we provide for beginning teachers. North Carolina does require a mentor teacher for the first 2 years of the teacher's career, and then you can extend that relationship with as a buddy system for the third year. And so we, of course, offer that. But I think that what makes our beginning teacher program stand out is that they have the different types of workshops that are available that help address issues like classroom management. One of the things that I think is very important that I think is unique to our district with respect to that beginning teacher support program is the opportunity for self-care. I was talking to one of the new teachers recently, last year sometime, and she told me that she had just come from a paint therapy workshop where they were where that was one of those self-care type approaches or pieces that was incorporated in that beginning teacher support program. So I think those are just a few of the things that makes us stand out. How involved are parents in the schools? And so it really depends on the school, to be very honest with you. Some schools have a strong support from the parent population of the school, and then some schools, quite frankly, may struggle a little bit, but they offer different opportunities. We have a actual community or a community relations type support team that that also works with the Charlotte business community that offers opportunities for the parents to participate in different functions. They may have special events offered after school so that those parents who are working during the day might be able to participate. And so there are different opportunities that it will encourage parent support in those schools where that parent support may be struggling. So it really depends on the school. Oh, okay. All right. So how does the school district handle behavior problems? We do have a discipline procedure in place, and so there may be some variances on in every school, but we do have a school discipline or student discipline process within each school. And then also you asked a question about the EL or ESL population, and so we have it just depends again on the school, but overall, our school district demographic is about 60% Black, Hispanic, as well as Asian. And then also within the different schools, and it really depends on the school. But we have some schools that are up to about 70% or 80% Hispanic. So it really depends on the school, the different schools that are all across town. So it just depends on the school. But the demographic overall is about 60% Black, Hispanic, Asian, Asian Pacific. So we have a very large um, minority population.
Any other questions for Carla? And just a reminder, this session was recorded and it will be sent out. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. But any other questions?
You guys have had some good questions.
Excellent questions.
I'm going to put RJ my email address in the chat in case.
Perfect. Well, I'll also include that in the email out as well.
Okay, great. I just saw a question, RJ, but I just sent my email address, and so I just missed it. Let's see. Oh, what would you say is the student to teacher ratio? And that is really going to depend on the school, Jada. The schools where they have a high population of students who are on a free or reduced lunch are our Title I schools. And we have about 75, 76 Title I schools in the district currently. And so for the Title I schools, the classroom size is going to be smaller. For an elementary classroom, for example, the class size may be 18 to 20 students. In schools where there are in more affluent areas of the city, the classroom size is going to be slightly larger, maybe 24 to 26 students. And the class size for our middle and high schools is going to be slightly larger on both fronts for Title I as well as non-Title I schools.
Any last questions? Awesome. Well, Carla, thank you again
Thank you.
for jumping on. We really appreciate it. And you know, I know those that weren't able to make it this evening, they'll get this recording and get this fantastic information. So we're very appreciative of you jumping on, sharing this fantastic insight, answering
Sure.
questions, and we look forward to doing it again.
All right. Well, thank you so much, RJ. It's been a pleasure. And thank you guys for for joining and listening in on this evening. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening. Take care.
Bye bye.